Hey, hello everyone. It's Adasi U Nelson again. And today's video, I'll be teaching you or mentoring you on how you can actually detail your part foundation effectively and how you're going to represent, the block schedule, how you can actually detail the arrangement of the part foundation from the one you're going to export from the structural software. Now, after designing, making sure your design is okay, maybe you're using Orion or Portal Structure or either some other software, like ETAP, where you're going to have the model generated and the data are being inputted down to AutoCAD. For you to make it presentable, this is what you got from the software. you know we don't want to put this. I don't think you need to put this on your template. I think we have to make this look presentable. For it to begin, in today's video we'll be using this as a reference for how we're going to design, because when you're designing from the beginning from afresh, it's going to take a little time. So I advise you get this template in order for you to start designing a very good detailing for every kind of structure, because I detail every kind of structure from the slab to the finishing. So in today's video, let's focus on how we could detail a part foundation. So for you to detail a part foundation, like I said, we'll be using this as a reference, right? So we'll be taking this off. So what I'm going to do right now is to start from generating a structural model from the first floor to the second floor. Okay, now let's say this is what we got from the first floor and this is what we got on the roof floor. I showed how you can detail a beam effectively. Please, if you've not watched that video, I want you to go back and watch that video. It will help you a lot, right? So this is our first floor and this is our roof floor, right? You can call it the second floor plan, right? So what we're going to generate for you to design the foundation, what we're going to do is we're going to design the foundation using this, right? So as you can see here, this is where we have a ground floor plan and this is the first floor plan, all right? So we'll be using the ground floor plan for us to be able to design our foundation. We'll be using this to design our foundation, okay? But mind you, you're going to see that we have some cantilever, all right? I'm not teaching you about this, but I just want you to be noticed that on this structure, while I was designing, I have a cantilever, from this, as you can see, as D and as its D here, you can see that the building terminates on the upper floor at D1, and at this point, we have a termination at this. So, in this regard, our foundation is going to be along this from A down to D, okay? From A down to D. So, we won't be needing this because there is a cantilever at this point at point A1. You can see that we have a cantilever here. We have a cantilever at this spot. You can see all this denoted in green are cantilever. So what we'll be needing to design is this. All right, this is the architectural plan which we're going to use in designing. So we'll be looking more or spending more time using our structural plan, all right, because this is what we got from analysis from our data generated. So right away we're going to start by highlighting this. We're going to copy this because we want to make it presentable on what we have there, right? So what we're going to do right here is, first of all, let's take off this. Let's take off the dimension. We're going to take what we're trying to do right here is to take off the dimension. So what I did is to highlight all in that regard, right? I don't want to do a quick select because I don't want to turn off, delete everything. If I just click select, I'm going to take off this. So I'm going to focus more here. So what I'm going to do right here is to concentrate. Let's take off this grid, right? Let's take off this grid. So we'll have a clear view of what we are designing. Okay, we'll have a clear view of what we are designing. So at this point, we're going to take this section out. All what we don't need, we're going to make sure that we take it out. So as you can see, we've successfully take off all the text that will not be needed because we don't want to do that, and as well as taking off the grid. So you can see what we're going to do right now is the foundation design. So during the part design, all we need here is just the columns, right? We need the column to design the footing for it, all right? Don't forget we are designing the footing, right? When I say part, I'm still referring to a footing, the foundation footing. So you can see I have a column here color of blue, these columns on the structural plan indicate a column at the upper floor, right? Because this is the first floor plan which will copy down here for us to be able to do the ground floor plan, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to take off this because this column is telling us that this would be inserted on top of inside the beam, right? This column continue at the upper floor. They insert this column. I insert this column inside the beam to take care of the the support at the upper floor. So I won't be needing it in the foundation. So I'm going to take off all the columns at this level, with these indications. So at the same vein, in me taking off the beam, the columns at that area, if you look at what we have here, I'm having a cantilever. I can see this super mark. You can see from the layer, the super mark telling us that there's a cantilever moment stressing the moment down to this column, all right? You can see, so all these are all cantilever. So I won't be needing them. The same thing on this other um, axis, all right? So we're going to take all the beams that will not be needing in our foundation. We're going to take them off. Simultaneously, I'm going to take all this off. I'm going to stick to what I'm going to be having on the foundation, on the ground floor, okay? So successfully we've done that. And I have another one at this area. You can also see this area. You can also see that it's spanning through, showing a cantilever, because this is all above, right? This is structured above the ground floor plan. So the same thing here, we're going to take this off. So you can see this is the shape of the building. This is the shape of our building where what we have on the ground floor plan. Okay, so this shape of the building is what we'll be using for us to be able to design the footing. Okay, because this is the column load, the axial load that will be sending down to the soil. All right, so we'll be using this to design. Before you design like this, especially when you're designing a simple pad foundation of this nature, sometimes as a structural engineer, there are some walls, some columns. Let me bring in the architectural plan so that we can get a view of what I'm saying. Okay, let's try to bring in the architectural plan. Okay, on this plan, you can see better here that, okay, let me take off this. Now on the architectural plan, you can view what we have here. You can see what we've designed, because mind you, on the structural plan we are just trying to get the bone of the structure. We just want to get the columns and how we're going to run a beam to support this structure, right? Okay, that's what we're just trying to do on the architectural plan. But mind you, on the structural plan, there are some walls that will be going to the foundation. There are some walls that will be going down, all right? When you're designing your structural plan, you won't really consider, like having here. You can see that we have a partition walls. You can see all these partition walls, all right? There are partition walls, numerous partition walls that we avoid because we're not considering that. We need to consider that while you're doing your site work, all right? So when you're doing your foundation work, please, I want you to also study the some of the partition wall. You're going to add it up to the pad foundation. You're going to add it to the foundation set so that they are going to use this. Why? When you introduce that in this pad foundation layer, they're going to use a structural layout for them to be able to run their work, to do their foundation trench. All right, this section, this plan here is what they're going to use to do their foundation trench. So I would like you to include some of those partition walls. All right, why? The reason being that you can see if we have a superstructure, maybe you're considering a high structure where you're only looking at load, you're only looking at the force stressing at that region. But in this, we are looking at a very smaller plan. Okay, we're looking at a very smaller plan, about 1 to 2 story building. All right. So in this regard, you're also considering pad foundation. Okay. So when you're considering pad foundation, you're also looking at some of these walls because they are going to start from the trench. Okay, we are going to provide trench for some of these, for some of these walls. Okay, some of these walls we are going to provide trench, but whereas this is just telling us where we are going to support the beam. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to copy some of this trench that we'll be considering. We are going to put it right here. Okay, so that irrespective of what we have for the columns, they are going to start the trench, some of this partition wall from the trench. Okay, so that's what we are going to do right now. We're going to copy this down to this. All right, So here we are. I've successfully take off all the all the dimension. We already know here is our ground plan, so we don't need that. So what we're going to do typically, you can see the cantilever. So we're going to take off all this cantilever. All right, we're going to take off all the cantilever line simultaneously. So we're going to be having what we have, the same view of what we have here should be what we're looking at here. Okay, so you can see here at this portion, we won't be needing this. So we're going to take this off, and this will be off. You can see we now have a balanced situation, right? So in this regard, you can see there is a wall separating this from the bar, right? Because this will be the top layer. I will be explaining that all we're going to do is to get our foundation trench. That's why I'm getting this explanation. Okay. So this car at the garage, I have to take it off. So you can see we have similar structure, similar what we have. What I have here is what I'm having here. Okay. What I have here is what I'm having here. So what I'm going to do now is to just get the walls that is not span. I'm going to put all this wall down here like what I'm going to say, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to try to copy those walls. Let me take off this veranda. So we'll be adding this wall. Sorry, let's bring it back. So I think I have to first of all explode this because they're all bond. Let me explode it. Okay, so now at this portion we can separate them. Okay, select similar. You go to select similar so that you can do this fast. Or typically, let's just pick the walls. We're going to take look at what we have here. Look at what we have here. We're going to match this column. I'm going to superimpose this on this other structure. Okay. So we're going to look for that layer. We're going to look for that layer so we'll be able to copy it out. We'll have structural bearing pane. I will get pin number 27. There is it. You can see we have highlighted all the walls. So in this regard, we're going to copy this. We're going to copy it down to this. Place it over here. You can see this is what I have, right? So I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy this also to this point, because where we have this wall, right, where we have this wall that I have, this wall, we're going to have a trench over here. Okay, we're going to have a trench over here. You can see here we have a beam. So in this beam, you can see on the foundation, we're not going to have a trench over here. All right, we're not going to have a trench over this point. So two things should be in your mind. Two things should be in your mind. It's either you're going to chain a beam, but I advise that you move this beam down to this position. So what we're going to do, we're going to move this, we're going to move this down to this position. But whereas on the first floor, you can see that the beam is structured here. All right, beam is structured at that point, and you can see over here we don't have anything at this point. So we're going to move this, or better still, we'll copy it from this point down to where we have it. Can see why it's not good for you to just use a structural plan only to take your to make your foundation trench, right? You can see why it's not proper for you to do that. So we can neglect this for a reason, okay? Because this is just a separation. There can be a secondary blinding for this. You can see that it is just shoot out. There is no passage for it, okay? Because this wall is below is below the staircase, okay? It's below the staircase. So this will not need a serious trench for it. So we might not necessarily consider it here, but for some reason, maybe you're designing and there is need for you to show this, then I think we should consider this. And whereas this is a staircase, and this staircase will not be needing a staircase on the void, okay? Will not be needing the staircase on the void. So you can see this beam, we're going to leave this beam the way it is because at this bail, we are going to on the foundation trench, there will be need for you to fill your earth, all right? For you to fill your earth. So you don't need much bail. Understand? You don't need much bail. We just need to keep it simple so that When you're going to fill your air, there will not be much pressure from compassion while you be doing the compassion before you be doing your DPC, considering that. So you can see what we've done here. You can see everything now is flushing. Everything is flushing. We can take this off because it's not moving. See, this is the reason why you must use your architectural plan to fix your trench when you have a simple model like this, unless you're doing a higher structure that needed a demanding load before you get your DPC. Unlike when you have a simple plan like this, please and please always consider using your architectural plan. So we'll be still removing this while we continue. All right, or for better still, for better reference, advice is still copy this if you'll be needing it. Okay, copy it and you use you keep it somewhere, keep it apart. So at this point we're going to take this off. We're going to go back and still get the structural label for it, structural layer, and we'll use to erase what we've done already. So you can see it is active, so we're going to delete or erase. You can see now we've gotten back to what we have. Okay, you can see what we have different from what we have from the original plan. Okay, different from what we have from the original plan. Don't forget, this is what we copied, taking off this for we to be able to achieve this. We didn't copy that, but let's continue. So now we're done with this guy, so we'll be taking this guy out. Okay, because we'll not be needing the plan again. So what we're going to do here is to offset our foundation trench. So for workability, for the space, please, let's copy this. I'll say similar. Workability, what we'll be doing, let's keep it on continue. I don't want a dash line. So what we're going to do is to offset a total distance for workability. We're going to offset like 230. We're going to get 230 off the trench. You can see. So 230, this would be our work area, right? This will be our trench and this will be the beam. Okay, we'll offset the trench. So on the foundation, this is what they're going to be done on the foundation. Then whereas this will be our beam. Okay, this will be our wall position. All right, so let's continue by offsetting. So you offset both sides. What you're going to do, you click on it, you click on the first one, you draw your cursor down, inward, you click on the next one, you push your cursor outside, you click, you move to the next one, you click over the line, you come over, the same procedure you keep repeating, you come inside, you click on this line, you click down, all right? You can see the cursor have turned to a square, all right? With this, is not your offset is not activated with this cursor. So what you're going to do is when you have something of this nature, you know that your offset is what is activated, and we're offsetting 230. Okay, so you do it both ways. The same thing we'll be having here, irrespective we don't have or what we don't have a column at this point. So the same thing we keep on doing because we are at the trench level. All right, you're all trying to support our soil. The same thing we keep on clicking both ways. I'm just trying to be fast. So, but as simple as you clicking one side, push it up, you click, you push it down. So you keep on repeating the video. You know, this is a video class, so you can still repeating by pushing nesting, forwarding it, keep repeating the video, you keep watching and you understand and get what we're going to be doing today. All right. So please, if you're finding this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share your comments, share to your friends so that they won't miss out this tutorial. All right. So we'll try to get it both ways. You try not to rush while you're doing this design, or otherwise you might skip some area. All right. You might skip some areas. So at this point, you can see that I'm done with the obsession. But what we're going to do basically is this. Now, we need the pad, right? We need the pad, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to go on the structural plan. Structural plan whereby you import down from your product structure, your any kind of structural software. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be taking this because this is the one I'll be working on. But in some design, you can see we can actually work on taking all right. We're going to take this back to this. So what I'm going to do right now is to copy this. I'm going to highlight all of this. I highlighted all of them. Then I'm going to just simple copy. I click on copy. Then I'm going to go back to the formal template we were using. You can see here we are. So what we're going to do is to paste the other drawing which we copy from the structural software. So you can see what I have here in this uh, AutoCAD interface. I've already structured this interface such that everything you post in this interface has ability of changing. You see, has ability of changing to the right suitable content. You can see what we have. You can see the beam. It has its own layer, different from what we have here. You can see the color of the line, the text structures has been automatically changed when we have from this my template, all right? From this template, everything is already changed regarding this. So we'll be needing all of this. So we can self-delete this dimension. Okay. So what we just need basically is the footing. So we'll be highlighting the footing. So you click, you have your layer by footing, and everything is by layer, all right? So when you have this, we're going to highlight all. I'm going to go to quick select. You highlight all of them. You go to quick select. You click on layer. Then you go to the value. You click on value or the quick select. You go and you click on the footing. You can see we have our footing here. So we have a footing on the value with our properties to be layer. So we click OK. So with that, you can see it has select all the footing. All right. This quick select, what it does is to select the same property, the property of what you want. That is what it's going to do, and it's going to what it's going to leave the other ones. All right. Like what we have before, you can see I highlighted all of them. All of them are highlighted. But with quick select that we did, pick from layer, footing, I click OK. You can see it has already picked the layer that I instructed it to pick. So what we're going to do is to copy it, or you're going to move anyone that suits you better. You're going to take it down to what we are doing. Okay, you're going to take it down because I copied it from the column, so I'm going to paste it here. In some reason you can otherwise copy this first floor. Another approach, you can copy this first floor, copy all the walls here and paste it over here and use it to do your design. Okay, you can do that approach, or you do with this, but I don't want everything to confuse us. That's why I just want to use it with the column, all right, before I insert the part. So you can see this is what we have. So I can decide to change the footing. I can decide to change the footing color. Okay, let's change the footing color to red. All right, quick select the same. So let me change it to red or brown, as the case may be. Let's pick some other color. Let's look at the color that is a little bit dim, denoting or simply let's leave it at red. Let's leave it at red. Okay. So you can see what we have here. Now, before the next thing I'm going to do here, I don't want to just let go of I don't want to let go of this. All right. I don't want to let go of this because of a reason. I will explain why I don't want to do this. But first of all, let me just first of all unselect every line. You can see what we have here. So the next thing we're going to see, you can see if we have a foundation depth, you can see the part base all over where we have the beam and the foundation trench. Okay, so this is at the foundation trench. So what we're going to do vertically at the foundation trench is to cut the foundation trench from the base. All right, we're going to cut the foundation trench off the base. So we're going to keep it neutral by clicking on trim. So you're going to be trimming each of these out. You can see you're going to be trimming each of these so that you have your space away from you're going to have your space away from the pad. Okay, this is what you're going to be doing. This is how it ought to be, not this way, not the trench clustering or the trench getting away into your pad. All right, it's not good for you to present it this way. So what we're going to do in a quick one, instead of it to be trimming it one by one, I'm going to select all the pad footing. Okay, that was why I said I'm not going to let go of the footing. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to set, this is now me clicking on the footing. I've already set boundaries. All right, this is how AutoCAD works. You've already set boundary between this interface in here, in here, in inside of all of this box. So what we're going to do is to go back to our trim, want to trim. So we're going to trim inside the box. It will let you to trim without doing one after the other. It's going to be fast, okay? You're going to trim everything inside the box very fast. So this is a fast way of doing this. You can see at this portion I'm having a trench over here. So this is outside the box. We don't, if you click on this, it's not going to trim, it's going to trim over here because of where you will have the line touching it. So we are going to trim the one inside before we come outside to take care of the ones that are outside. All right, so let's focus more on our attention on the one that is inside. You can see we have our trench at this area, so we'll keep on taking them off. All right, let's take them off. I set this portion, so we're going to make level. You can see the difference between this trench and the trench at this angle. You can see that they are not together. All right, so we're going to leave it and we're going to get back to it. So let's focus on the trenches that are inside the pad first. All right, so where we are successfully, we've already trimmed all the ones we have inside the box, remaining this portion. Okay, so once I'm going to explain again, the reason why I said you should go by the box is, by highlighting the box, you can simultaneously click. For example, I want to trim this trench line. Okay, I want to trim this trench line off this pad base. Okay, so I'm going. If I click here, you can see what is going to remain. I have something here. All right, I still have a structure here. But if if uh you click here, you go and do. But if I highlight this by highlighting the box, you can see if I trim, I don't need any way. If I trim at this portion, it's going to take it off because I've already set boundaries. All right, any portion you click, off you go. All right, and when trimming, you have to be very, very careful because you can see here we've not actually identified the difference between the trench and the beam. So don't get confused between the beam line and the trench line. For you to trim the beam line, you don't have to trim the beam line. You can see what I have. The beam line is always connecting to the column. All right, is always connecting to the column because you're going to do a ground beam for you to have your DPC at that level. So the trench line is the one you're going to trim off. Okay, so trench line is what we are going to trim off or stretch it back to the trench. Okay, so at this portion you could see what we have here. We can go by trimming the outside. So at the outside we don't need to set a border, so we're going to take it one after the other by trimming each of. You can see at this portion, this is where I have the beam. So the beam is connecting towards this area where we have the wall, right? This is where we have the wall on the ground. Okay. So when I say a beam, don't get confused. I'm also still referring at the wall because the beam is going to run at the wall position, right? On the ground. So you're going to take this one after the other by trimming. Okay. Trim as fast as possible. Right, so that your trim is going to have a flow because this is going to be the walkway right in the trench. Okay, this is going to be your walkway right in the trench. Okay, and this is going to be your wall line. Okay, this is going to be your wall line. Maybe later we're going to introduce a difference between that. Maybe we're going to introduce a kind of another color for it. So at this point, let's just focus on the trimming. So at this point, you can see I've successfully trimmed everything and simultaneously I added a change color. What I did is just to change the color from the usual color back to this color so that we can actually view or have a view of what I'm saying. You can see this is our wall, right? This is the wall from the building, from the architectural plan, okay? From the architectural plan, you can see that we superimpose on the structural plan. This is what we have as a copy. So what we're trying to do here is to get a trench whereby the blocks can be laid alongside alongside the pad, right? So that should be considered. When you're doing your pad foundation, you're not just looking at the pad alone, but you're looking at the trench, okay? So the trench has been already been formed with the beam on this lined color. You can see the beam here chaining each of the columns with the pad, right? And this is the trench, you know, This is the trench, okay? So this is how you detail your foundation trench. This is how you present your part. So the next thing you're going to do right here is to do a dimension, okay? You're going to dimension each of this part, okay? You're going to do a dimension, a quick dimension to each of this part, and we're going to bring back the grid to this, and simultaneously we're going to identify various bays, okay? We're going to identify various bays on this foundation. So how do we do that? We're going to go to our dimension. You pick your dimension, you check your dimension. You can see we have 1.8 there by 1.8, all right? All in millimeter. 1,800 at that point, and we have 2,300 over here and 2,300. So what we're going to do right now is to dimension all of this, okay? And here we are at almost at the last part of what we are the dimensioning stage. You can see what I've done. What I did here is to throw a dimension, a cross dimension over all the base, all right? So that you're going to know what are the sizes. You can see I have 180, 180, have 160, 1,600, 1,800, as the case may be. So what we're going to do here is to specify what we have on this drawing, okay? We're going to put, now, uh, the next step will be, we're going to add the text to be the types of the base, all right? So this will be the base type, what? All right, so we're going to identify base type 1, base type 2, or footing type 1, as the case may be, whatever you want to call it, you are still correct. So you can see we have 1,600. So this is going to be a particular type of footing, all right? So this is a particular type of footing, and when we have 1,800, this is another type of footing because of the size, okay? Because of the size, they are all square footing. For every point, if you have a rectangular footing, let's say you have 2,300 by 2,500, all right? You're not going to add it to the same thing as 3,300 and 3,300, okay? 3,300 and 2,000, sorry, 2,300, 2,300 is a particular type of footing. Whereas if you have 2,500, all right, 2,300 by 2,500, that is another type of footing. So you're going to name them separately, okay? Not because you have 3,300 at one point, you just overlook the 3,500 and you add them to be the same. That will not be good. You are trying to render the structural design useless, because all we are trying to do here is to have a clear or a real presentation of the design of the structural drawing, all right, from the design structural data, okay? So what we're going to do right now, we're going to bring in our we're going to bring in the detail. Let's say for what I'm doing here, let's say you don't have this per se. So what we're going to do here is to copy this. Me, simply because I have this dimension, I just have to copy this dimension along. But if you don't have the design, let's say you're doing a fresh design. From a fresh design, then it means you have the grid already. So you copy the grid and you replace the grid, then you dimension again. All right, you go to dimension again. But simply because I have this, I'm going to copy this at one point, and I'm going to move it, copy from a reference point down to another point. You can see, such that they'll all be aligned in the same position. So I think this is okay. So that notwithstanding, if we want to do the same thing, we can still pick this, we can still highlight this, or you do it together simultaneously. You just do it at once. So let me just copy at the same point and I'll add it. Okay, so you can see I have the same green boundary. You can see the same A and A at this point as it is on the structural drawing. But whereas in my representation, sometimes I love showing one side design, but this is proper, okay? Because this was recommended, okay? This design was actually recommended by, was actually given by an engineer for me to design this detail. So he recommended that I include the two-side grid, okay? He recommended I add the two-side grid be at both sides of it, and both top and the bottom of it. So this is good. So let's test through to the base. So what we're going to do right now is to add the test. You can see that the design is gradually coming to an end from the plan stage, okay? In the plan stage, this is actually coming to an end. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to look at We're going to hopefully look at how we're going to include the base. But whereas what we're going to do in this design, before you conclude on the column details, you're going to add the column details. So by the time you're done with the column details, subsequently, I'll be doing a video on how you can detail your column and how you can represent your column, all right? So if the column details is being done, what you're going to do is you're going to copy the column details and you're going to attach it here. But mind you, what we're going to do today is we are considering the part foundation detail, okay? We're considering the part foundation. So what we'll be doing, we'll be adding a text. What we'll just be doing is just add a text to what we've already done for the part, okay? So you can see what I did here is by creating a text. So now I have a text of this format and I try to make this text. I think this text is a big, the properties of the text is a bit big. So let me just reduce the text. Let's make it, let me just try to make it 180 for the height, okay? So you can see what we have here. So let me just take this off. All right. So in this regard, let's try to push it a little bit center, okay? So now I'm not saying when you're doing something like this, I advise that you get a pen by writing the schedule of the design. When I mean the schedule of the design, I mean the size of the design. You have 60 by 1600 by 1600. You're going to name it base type 1, okay? You have base type 1 for this because I think this should be the minimum size of reinforcement we have here. Then this should be the second where we have 1800. This should be base type 2, right? It should be base type 2. So before you do anything, advise you check the base. During the process of you doing your design, when you're doing your design, always try to check all the members you have, okay? So you can see the minimum is 1.6 and we have 1.8 to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this and we'll copy this. We have this is 1.6, which is the minimum, right? The smaller one. So we're going to check where do we have a smaller uh, base here. This is another one. We'll copy. This is number 2. So you're going to write it down that like denoting this particular type of base. How many number does it reflect? How many times does it reflect on this foundation? So you can see here we have 1 and we have 2. So it's just 2 for that, okay? So we're going to take off that. It's just 2 for this. So we go to base 2, which is 1800. So on 1800, you click on 1, you paste on the second one, which is 2. You keep on going on with your counting. 3, and you go, you don't have it here. Here is higher. We don't have 1008 here. So I think we have another one here. And this will be 4 for that size of the footing. Okay, so that is what 5. So we're going to denote that we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, we're having 4 for that. Okay, how many do we have? Sorry, let's do a count again. You can see why you need to check. I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 for that. Why this we have 2, right? So on the third one you have is the base 1200, okay? 1200. So 1200, this is base type 3. So you always have a pen by writing this so that you don't get confused on the counting, okay? So this is what? This is 2100. So we count 1. I've already inserted this. So we have 1, 2, 3. I have this 1003, 3, 4. So it appears 4 times, okay? It appears 4 times, okay? So what we're going to, the next one we're going to look at is the base. We copy and we paste on the last base. So this base will be base 3, okay? So what do we have here? We have base 4. We change this to base 4. We'll click on this or copy. This is base 4. So on base 4, we'll count 1, 2. Sorry, you can see we didn't attach this here. So don't forget what we did the last time for the base 3, that is 1001, was what? Was 4 we counted. So if we attach the next one here, we're going to have what? We're going to have it to be 5, all right? So let's not lose our count. So what we have is 1 for the base type, 4, 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, okay? We have 5, so that will be all. You check if all the numbers are complete. So you can see that we didn't detail this, we forget to get this. So we're going to copy this back. We're going to put it here, right? So you're going to confirm again, base type 3. How many number are they? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and what? 5. 5. So we have 5 numbers for base type 3, 5 numbers for base type 4, 4 numbers for base type 2, and we have 2 numbers for base type 1. Okay, so that has to be taken into accounting. So now we arrive at the end of the part 1. At the part 2, we are going to explore how you can actually detail the base footing, and how we're going to arrange the base footing from the base type 1 to base type 4 inside of the template, and we're going to put it down into the template. All right, so if you consider this video helpful, I want you to give us a thumb up, and if you want to see more of videos like this, please consider subscribing. As you want us to show more videos or any impact, please, I want you to relate in the comment section below. So thanks and bye for now. See you on the next video.